then you see the last game took place on this arena in 523. 523, it's really the end, because in Rome there were already the barbarians ruling the city, living in the city, and the barbarians didn't like the games. Because their own ancestors were those prisoners of war of the Romans who had to fight in here to take freedom back in the past. Plus, at those days in Rome, there were also a lot of Christians, and the Christians didn't come in here to watch the games. So basically, no more games because no more spectators. That's why the games ended, and suddenly the building was abandoned. You know, the barbarians didn't touch it. So for about 5 centuries, only the shepherds came in here, and they exploited the Colosseum like a gigantic stable to keep the animals in the archways. Then in 1100, for a short period, a family of Rome took possession of the building and they turned it into their own private residence and stronghold, Frangipane family. And they were the first who started the expoliation of the Colosseum. They began to take out the metals from the pillars in order to make armors for their own private army. After the family left the Colosseum, because they built a new stronghold in the middle of the Circus Maximus, people from all over the city began to come in here to take out all the metals. And then the popes stripped away all the marbles, which were once decorating the walls, the floor. Have you seen walking in here? There are here and there on the floor white marble slabs. Those are the original marble slabs of the Colosseum. But as you can see today, only the cracked marble, the broken marbles are left, because the popes couldn't recycle them. That's why they're still inside. Then the popes stripped away all the marble seats, all the marble steps. So today we just got a nude skeleton of the original building. You see today only the radiant walls, which had the ones to support the seats, are still standing, but nothing else. But you see, once this was the Colosseum. And when you see how the Colosseum was at those days, you know that you're looking at our stadiums. Not so big a difference. You see, like in our stadiums, the playground is in the middle, the seats are all around, below the seats all the galleries to go in the different sections, and then on the top of the canvas roof. The main difference with our stadiums are probably the materials. But not so much, because the Romans already had the concrete. So you see, that's why we're always told that the Romans started our civilization. In 2,000 years, we couldn't find anything better to watch the games. So we're still coping at the Colosseum, which is a model for our stadiums. Here we can see it. This is a stadium. Okay. And any question for me? Oh, about the Christians, it's a sort of myth. I mean, according to the modern archaeology, it seems that only 4 Christians died on this arena. And because there is a big misunderstanding. I mean, in here there were public executions time by time, but only some criminals were executed in the Colosseum. Those who tried to kill the emperor or a senator, those who started a rebellion, those who practiced magical arts. For those criminals, the punishment was named damnatio ad bestias, condemnation to the beast. The criminal in chains, naked, was left on the arena, the animals came out, and that was the end. What's happened is that at the very beginning, the Romans couldn't understand very well the symbolism of the Christianity. So they've heard that the Christians used to meet in dark hidden places, to eat the body of Jesus, to drink the blood of Jesus. At first, the Christians were thought to be black magicians. And this is the reason why 4 Christians were executed on this arena that way. But that's all. Later on, Renaissance, the popes began the renovation of the city, and so they began to dig for the foundation of the modern buildings. Digging down, they began to find the treasure of the ancient city, mosaics, frescoes lying in the underground. And they found also a lot of mosaics displaying that the punishment on this arena. When they saw the mosaics, they recalled the persecutions and they put them together. They said that these are the Christians, but that was a mistake. Those were common criminals. Christians were usually executed on the cross. you know, Christians were basically persecuted by the Romans together with the Jewish people as the only ones who refused to worship the emperor as a god. The punishment for that crime for those who were not Roman citizens was the crucifixion. Now in here it would have been impossible to do a crucifixion because the arena was hollow, so the crosses wouldn't stand. And in fact all the Christians were crucified in the stadiums for the chariot races on the natural ground, like the Circus Maximus or the Caligula Stadium, which is the area of St. Peter's Square, where St. Peter was crucified, but not in here. But the myth is really alive. In fact, you know, the Pope comes in here on the Good Friday before Easter, and he celebrates the stations in the Colosseum, and he dedicates the ceremony to all the Christians who died on this arena. 4. Yes.